Oh, look, and they also have a color blindness. Oh, this is fantastic. So you can see what it looks like for color blindness in this app as well and look at all the different variations. So that's...
Hi, my name is Nicole Fuller. I'm here with SayoStudio today. We are a science communication agency focusing on the visuals. So we love to show off science visually with great art, animation, and design. And we started a series of videos talking to you all to explain a little bit about what we do and give tips on design for scientists who are trying to do some of this on their own, whether or not they're in an academic lab or if you're all, in a communication shop and trying to do some of this on your own. So we're excited to have all of you here today, whether or not you're an enthusiastic lover of science, scientist yourself, or somebody who's working on behalf of the great science and technology innovations out there to get it out in the public eye, to get more understanding, appreciation, and support for science. So we are today talking about kind of, if you will, basic topic. We are just doing an introduction to color. And so today we are specifically talking about it for branding, which, we know is a little bit different from what we do sometimes. So here at SayoStudio, most of what we focus on is getting out graphics that help explain science. But what we also love to do is show how, exciting and capture the curiosity of science. And so that extends even to how you present yourself. And that's really what branding is. So to some of us, branding almost sounds like a scary word, especially if you are in a lab and you're a scientist and your focus is on the hard science. And it doesn't feel like you should have to focus on the branding. So unfortunately, we live in a day and age where it's becoming more and more expected that you do have a visual identity. In some ways, that's fantastic because it does make it easier to communicate your science, get eyes on it, but to have to think about the overall, presentation that you're putting forward, whether or not you're using the right font, the right logo, it can be intimidating and feel like a lot of work, but it doesn't have to. And so that's why we're here today to get started just talking about simple things that you can do to make your brand feel more cohesive. So as an introductory to that, I just wanted to show off some fun pictures about how we use color in our science art. And so this is a little bit afield. It's a little bit of a tangent from our focus on the more simple colors for presentations, for websites, for figures, that sort of thing. But just to get us started on talking about color and thinking about color. So we are looking at this first piece that is has all the colors. So as you can see, I really love color. So this is a rainbow. It's got everything. So these are neurons that we did, and it's specifically looking at how memories are stored in neurons. So this was purposely a bit of a conceptual piece. So that's where I wanted to talk a little bit about. So this piece and others that we've created at SayoStudio, they're often are more editorial, a little bit more art pieces that speak to it. And especially when you're looking at cell biology and some of the other more technology, microscopic driven things, they're realms that we don't look at, so we can use our imagination to some degree for color. And so for this piece, there's actually, there's a gradation of color that's meant to show the traveling of the signals through the neurons. But as we click through some of these, so for more general cell biology pieces, you can see that you can play with a lot of different colors. So this one is more of a pink red. It's a warm palette that we're using with pops of green. And I actually wanted to interrupt just for a moment to show you what that looks like in Photoshop. And so if you will, I just realized something. So we will have a short pause while I switch screens. Okay. So thanks for that quick break. I just wanted to make sure I could get to Photoshop. So this is our image that we are looking at. So one thing I wanted to point out, and this isn't the focus of the video today, so just a quick tangent, is that this image does make use of red and green, which is considered a no-no in the communication world, because as you probably all know, it is difficult for red, green, colorblind people to discern. And so if we go to Photoshop, it actually has a tool that helps us see how well things are contrasting for people who don't see the full spectrum of light in the same way. And so if we go to View, Proof Setup, and then you can go to color blindness, protanopia, or deuteranopia. And so I have it set to protanopia, which is both red, green color blindness. And then once that's set up, you can use Control Y on a PC, Command Y on a Mac to shift to see what it looks like. And it's surprising that there is a good deal of contrast for this yellow, which is actually, let's go back again, the green against the red. So it's definitely something you need to keep in mind, but it's not as strict and formal of a cutoff between red and green as you would think. And a lot of that is because there's a surprising range. When we say green, you can push it toward the yellow side, toward the blue side quite a bit to differentiate it between red. And then what we can look at in another time is a lot of times what you need to look out for are how things that are shifting to blue. So even magenta, as opposed to red, more of the pinky red, will go more towards blue. So there's a lot of things to consider there. And so especially when you're doing more of these less figures and more so fully rendered pieces where it's kind of an environment, a cell landscape is what I like to call it. It's almost more about contrast and making sure your contrast is good. So like a lot of the things we talk about, if this is something that's of interest to you, please let us know in the comments. And likewise, if you have experience with this, so as you've probably guessed, I do not have color blindness. So I'm using these Photoshop filters. If somebody is colorblind and thinking, you know what, that is not accurate, I still can't see what you're talking about, please let me know. I'd love to hear it. But going back, so we've got the red magenta cell. And then we're going to keep looking through. So I have a series of cells we've created over time. And it's just kind of fun to look at all the different ways that you can play with color, depicting a similar. Okay, so this is one that we did about the microbiome, specifically for infants. So this is one where we really wanted it to have kind of a soft feel. And this is something to think about as you're thinking about your colors and what defines you. Is there an emotional impact? Do you want to try to get attention? Do you want to try to calm and bring in that element to present your work? So this is more of soft. I don't love the word pastel, but they are pastel colors, more muted. Okay, let's keep going. And then another cell one. This is again kind of back to a rainbow colored cell, but it's really colorful. And I wanted to share this one because it's not what you'd think of. So it's fun just to think about how you can shake things up and do things a bit differently. And then this is more of a blue tone, but with more of the warm color, coral colors with red, yellow for the parts that we want to pop, to really stand out. So when you're thinking about your color and your branding, you can think about one kind of main color that you want to be your base color that kind of identifies you, and then your secondary colors that really help certain things stand out. So if you're designing, that would be on your slide deck or on your web page, you have like a full blue background, but then you choose certain bright colors where you really want to highlight things. And that's something that we'll show you on our website that we do. We actually have a similar color palette to this. I think I probably just subconsciously chose these colors. They somewhat match our branding at SayoStudio. All right, moving on. So this is another one that's really actually very colorful, but again, it has a solid blue major color. And we'll look at that a little bit more. We've found that blue and cyan is very common for life sciences and biotech. And there's a good reason for that. Blue is considered, there have been a lot of studies shown that it's considered to be a very common color. People feel that they can trust it, that they feel just a level of safety in it. And as you can imagine, if you're a life science company that's developing therapeutics, you really want to have that level of trust from both investors at the initial onset of your company to the end when you're reaching out to potential patients who are hopefully going to be benefiting from your therapeutics. All right, so scrolling through, this was another fun one that veers more toward the greens with a lot of blues. And then I just wanted to show how we transition to, a lot of times colors can be more purposeful and can be dictated more so by the actual scene that it's depicting. So blues and greens are a little bit more obvious for an ocean scene, but this is one where the ocean scene, it's supposed to be in warm Florida. So we use more kind of turquoise, greenish blues as opposed to deep, dark, more purplish blues that you might use if you're in the north. So this is a technology piece that is another one where it's looking at how AI and computing can determine potentially small molecules for different protein fitting and small molecule research for potential therapeutics. And so this is one where we wanted that AI aspect, but the important part was really on the molecule itself. And so we had fun with these bright colors. And then this is one that is taking a riff on MC Escher, looking at space-time duality for Google Quantum AI. And so this is one where we really wanted a fun, modern palette that had contrasting colors and felt fresh and new. So that's where this one came from. And then this is another one that is more of an introduction to a series of videos that we hope to do in the future that's talking more about color in use for figures as opposed to more of these editorial images that are used in other places. So this would be more of a complex figure. As you can see, we use a ton of different colors. And we also have a lot of different shapes. So this is an area, again, we'll talk about more, but it's an area where you want redundancy of information. So with so many different things that need to be highlighted, with all of these different receptors and small molecules, you really want different shapes that help emphasize the different parts that need to be shown, as well as colors, so that people with limited color spectrum perception can make sense of that. So we'll talk about more about that in future videos. So now we're getting to the part where we talk about our palette. So in some ways, this seems a little bit more dry, but the more that you can define your colors, the more it helps underpin things and just makes things simpler. So these are our colors. So we use this main teal color, and then these are kind of our other background colors that we use, along with these bright colors for our secondary colors for things like buttons, for text that we want to highlight, that sort of thing. Okay. And so just to show what that looks like, on our website, we have a predominant bluish green color. And as we scroll down, our solid color comes in, and you see that bright yellow button there. And then
as you've already seen, a lot of our images, they have a ton of colors. So this color palette that we have is just there to underpin our overall branding to make it feel cohesive. And for us, that's really important because we do have so many different styles with all the wonderful artists that work with us and a lot of colors that are used throughout our art. So it's these design colors and the font that helps make it feel all cohesive. All right. So to do that, I just wanted to look a little bit at one of our favorite programs called Coolers. So this is a fun app that you can use for free, and it helps you generate different color palettes and just have fun with it. So we can explore trending palettes. So if we click on that, all right, it has a ton of different palettes. I personally find this a little bit overwhelming, but because if you glance at it, it just feels like rainbows. Like there's so many colors. But if we choose one, let's choose one that has kind of a predominant blue, because again, that is so common in life sciences. So let's see what happens if we click on this. Oh, so this is where we can click the colors that we do like. Okay, so we like this one. Unfortunately, I have the screen sharing thing here, so it's hiding our pop-up. All right. Color copy to the clipboard. And so this copies the code so that you can use that in any software. So let's see, let's make a new layer and then let's click on our color and let's paste the code. And there we got that colors. So there we've got our color that we just copied quickly from Coolers. But let's go a bit more. Let's see. Okay, this is what I wanted to do. Open in the generator. So this is where you can modify it and really make it your own. And you can produce different palettes and export these. And so I personally love the contrast of blue and yellowish orange. They're nice complementary colors, which just means that they're across from each other on the color wheel and it gives you a lot of contrast. And so if I were designing this, I might decide that I don't let's see. I don't love this light blue. And again, I might be in danger of coming back to our own palette because these are the colors I like. But I like this bright blue and the navy blue, and I like the yellow and orange. But let's play with this color. And this is where, okay, so if we choose something like this, that gets us back really close to the one that we already had. But then we can also put them together and see which one we like better. Maybe do we like the slightly greenish one or the slightly more true blue? I don't know. I want something entirely different. So let's move this back over here. No, not so much. Copy hex, save color, view shades, check contrast. Ooh, what is check contrast? Oh, pro feature. So there is a paid feature to this. Oh, look, and they also have a color blindness. Oh, this is fantastic. So you can see what it looks like for color blindness in this app as well. And you can look at all the different variations. So I love it. That's great. Okay, we can try a green, but that's feeling too rainbow for me. You know, I'm feeling like we just need a gray, but that maybe more of a neutral light color. Oh, silly me. Look, press the spacebar to generate color palettes. So this is where if you actually read, you can learn a lot of these tooltips. So let's press the spacebar and see what happens. Oh, I'm liking that purple. Okay, I'm going to lock that in. And then let's see if we try a different shade of this orange. Ooh, that's too light. Let's try something like that. Okay, this beige is okay, but let's see what other variations we can get. All right. Okay, I like more of a green, but I'm going to try for light as well. I don't know. I think I'm liking that. So we can export this, and we can export the URL and just send it to somebody else, and that way they can keep playing. You can export it as a PDF, as an image, put a name to it, a hex. So those are all ways that you can play with your own colors. There's a whole bunch that you can do here. You can also create a palette from a photo. So if you went on a vacation and you loved it, if you have a microscopy image that really speaks to what you do, you can use that and see if you can pick out some of the colors that work for your company, for your lab, for your science. So that's our quick introduction to colors and some of the fun ways you can play with it. So in the future, we'll go into more specifically for figures and for mode of action diagrams and really delve into color for science communication. And so once you have this color palette, how you can really use it consistently throughout all of your materials. And that is where we're at. But again, as always, we want to hear what you're interested in. So please leave a comment. We are getting started, so we love hearing from you. We love hearing if you want more on the design side, more on the science side, what interests you. And let's see, one thing before we go, we have created a color palette guide, a branding guide for science, why it's important for scientists, even if it doesn't feel like it is your top priority, with some examples, some resources, and some of our favorite palettes here. So check that out. We have the link in the description, and we also have a link to our blog with more of this content. So please check it out. We'd love it if you hit the like, if you feel inclined, and we always love it if you are feeling up for subscribing. Thanks for joining us, and we hope to talk to you soon. Thanks.